Hey, what's up, everybody? Pat here, grateful recovering alcoholic and addict, just like every day. Guys, please don't forget to subscribe, leave the video a like, drop me a comment, and by all means share it with anybody you think might get something out of it. Other than that, how we doing today, guys? Spring is in the air. It was actually pretty nice out today. It was a little chilly again this morning, but you know what? It was sunny, it was warm, it was beautiful. Yeah, it could be warmer, but still, it was a nice day. Did a job for a friend in the program. Greg, if you're watching, it was good to see you this morning. That went well. I did a few other service calls, and I had another job to start, but it wasn't crucial, and I realized that I have some paperwork requirements. I had to go to a couple of courthouses and pick up proof that I no longer had. There are warrants that were literally, I think that the newest one was like 10 years old, the oldest one was 30 years old. But the registry of motor vehicles wanted me to get proof of clearance of them. And I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to wait till the last minute and not have the paperwork I need. So I took the afternoon off and went and visited a couple of courthouses I haven't seen in decades. And now I have all my paperwork in hand. And that's a great feeling. Met with my therapist, was proud of that. Yeah, I made for a good day. Like, I was so surprised at myself because I'm thinking, oh, obviously they know my warrants are clear. It's in the, they should be able to look it up. But the fact that she mentioned it in the hearing was enough for me today to say, no, I want to have proof. And the ladies at the courthouse were really cool about that. So I felt really good about that, guys. Again, my first thought was, oh, why should I have to do this? It's clearly, clearly I've had them prove. But again, at the end of the day, it's my responsibility. I'm trying to get something done here, and it's to my detriment if I acted on those impulses to let it go. And that's the thing, guys. We're going to talk about that today, guys. Feelings. Feelings are not facts, and sometimes just because we feel some kind of way, it's not in our best interest, and it's up to us in recovery to see that and then decide whether or not we're going to act on those feelings. And obviously, if they're not good for you, don't act on them. You don't want to, for me, the consequence could have been I'd be all set, go to be, excited and having, shared the date that I think this is all going to go through. My family waiting, celebrate with me, and then get held up because I decided that it wasn't worth my time to cross my T's and dot my I's, right? And like those are feelings I don't want to act on, so I don't today. I did the right thing, spent the time, spent the gas, spent the afternoon running around, just covering my bases, and I'm proud of myself, and that's something I would have never done in my former life, and it's one of the beautiful changes in recovery, and I'm proud of myself for that. Simple thing, but has a big meaning to what I'm trying to get done. So, guys, acting on our feelings or acting out is the title of the Just for Today NA meditation, and again, boom, I can apply it to a direct situation in my life today, just like I usually can, and that tells me I'm on the right track. So, acting out. We learn to experience feelings and realize they can do us no harm unless we act on them. Many of us come to recovery with something less than an overwhelming desire to stop using. I don't know about that. I had an overwhelming desire to stop using. Anyway, many of us do come into recovery with something less than an overwhelming desire to stop using. Sure, the drugs were causing us problems, and we wanted to be rid of those problems, but we didn't want to stop getting high. Eventually, though, we saw that we couldn't have one without the other. Even though we really wanted to get loaded, we didn't use. We weren't willing to pay the price anymore. The longer we stayed clean and worked the program, the more freedom we experienced. Sooner or later, the compulsion to use was lifted completely, and we stayed clean because we wanted to live clean. That's a fact. The same principles apply to other negative impulses that may plague us. When we may feel like doing something destructive just because we want to. We've done it before, and sometimes we think we've gotten away with it, but sometimes we haven't. And if we're not willing to pay the price for acting on such feelings, well, we don't have to act on them. It may be hard, even as hard as it was to stay clean in the beginning, but others have felt the same way and have found the freedom not to act on their negative impulses. By sharing about it and seeking the help of other recovering addicts and a power greater than ourselves, we can find the direction, the support, and the strength we need to abstain from any destructive compulsion. And the affirmation is, just for today, it's okay to feel any destructive feelings. It's okay to feel my feelings with the help of my higher power and my recovery network, I am free to not act on those feelings. And guys, that's really important, and it's something I think that's get lost in the shuffle a lot. And I struggled with this reading in the beginning because when I first read it, like that first thing, something less than an overwhelming desire to stop using. I'm like, nah, I don't agree with that. We come into the program because we know we need to, but it's true. We we still and again I had to admit, yes, I struggled. That it In all honesty, I knew I couldn't use heroin anymore. I'd been sick of it. I was sick of the fentanyl, sick of what it did to me. I was sick of being sick, and I was okay with that. I think the compulsion to do that had been lifted from me because I've never craved it. I can honestly say I haven't craved it once since I've quit. But in the beginning, when I left rehab, I talk about the little slip that I had the night I get home, and I got to be honest with myself. I was entertaining ideas in the back of my head that, well, yeah, I'm gonna get on Sublocade. I can't do opiates. That's great. Maybe I can just go do a recreational hit of crack once in a while. And again, because it was in my mind, and it was something I hadn't just gotten there yet. I was still sick. It was my disease talking, right? My higher power dropped a hit in front of me and made sure I smoked it the minute I get home. And again, the second I did, I'm like, oh my God, this is not how I want to feel. It was the worst feeling in the world. I was devastated. I dropped to my knees. I've talked about 100 times. I went out and again, that's what really put me on the track to understanding I had to have the willingness to do everything. So I went and I found my home group the next day. I started my YouTube channel the next day. It was a pivotal and decisive moment in my recovery. And I'm thrilled for that because I had to reset my sobriety date to the next day. So I got my 24-hour chip, and that's the date that I now have, January 7th. And I'm glad I did because now all of my sobriety has been not in an institution but out on my own, making my own decisions. And I'm proud of that fact. And it means a lot to me because it's something I've wrestled with in the past. So I'm glad it happened. Everything in this whole recovery has been an absolute godsend blessing because I found a way to find the lesson in it and then acted properly on the lesson. Further, in the beginning, guys, I still had a lot of negative impulses and negative behaviors and things I needed to work on. So I had to understand, and again, for me, I talked about so much in the early days that pause, learning to pause. And it's funny because when I first heard these things, I thought they were asinine. Well, how, if you're in the middle of emotion, how do you teach yourself to not act on your impulses? Well, it's called being an adult, being a human, being responsible. Any one of us can do it. It's not always easy because we don't put the priority onto it. Once you do, it's like anything else. We can change any behavior when we realize we want to. Sometimes need to isn't enough. You have to want to do better. You have to want to be better. And for me, I did. I started seeing the good feelings and just the blessings from being in recovery and from doing the right thing because it's the right thing to do. Not because somebody was watching, not because I might get caught, but because it's the right thing to do, because that's where the real change comes from. So the more I did, the more I realized, like, there was so many little behaviors that I didn't even notice that were incredibly negative. And when I realized when I started to see them for the scope of them in my life, that's why I went to the lengths that I did. Started doing Tony Robbins seminars. I did a thing with Dom the hypnotist about my relationship with money. Stopped watching TV because all I was watching was negativity on TV, and it was just giving me bad guidance, right? And I'm not blaming anything outside of me, but I realized I needed to focus. And guys, for the first 3 or 4 months, I was and I'm still pretty intentional about it, but I was incredibly intentional about what I took in. I wouldn't watch a true crime video. I was literally reading books, journaling, and watching spiritual videos, and that was all I was taking into my energy field because I needed my head was sick. My head was a very sick place at that point, but I knew there was hope, and I just knew the level that I needed to make changes. I didn't know where to draw the line, so I said, boom. So like the only thing I get anything out of is going 100%. So I put everything I had and shut everything out. Well, all of a sudden, a few months down the road, I'm seeing these miraculous changes in my life, and I'm getting the ability I gained, and instantly the ability to pause, because I realized every instinct I had was wrong. And I can't tell you how many conversations I was having. Somebody would say something, I'd start to just, speak instinctually. And I'd stop and go, whoa, really? No, that's not what I believe. It's not the truth. It's not how I feel. And I showed that I had the courage to actually, say, hey, I'm wrong. And I'm still figuring shit out. The more I did that, like, the more proud of myself I got. And the more people around me noticed my willingness to pay attention, to actually use the pause method. When I started playing the tape through, that was huge for me, guys, because I did it when I got to my job site. And again, I was in this big rush and felt all this pressure to get back to work. I owed money, and the boss was, just, it was, but, so I honored my commitment, but I get back to work and I explained to my boss, I'm like, listen, these are the requirements I need. I have to stay sober. And I have to change all my behaviors. Don't ask me to scam, lie, cheat, steal, and don't be doing drugs and getting high in front of me. And he agreed, and he's trying to do it anyway. And I'm like, this is just not someplace I can be. It's not an environment that's going to be conducive to my recovery. Like my every impulse and negative, just the easiest way for me would be just to sit there and try to go along and not act or not stick up for myself. It was very difficult, but I'm like, no, I have to do this. And the more it went on, the more glaring it was. I mean, guys, I was literally going up to the truck to grab a tool and dropping on my knees and praying for strength to not get back into the nonsense. Because for once, as I got clean and started to live a little bit of a clean life, I could see just how ridiculous the situation I was in was. And again, boom, that was another leap of faith. I'm not a big fan of confrontation. My boss is my friend. My coworkers are my friends, and they're already looking at me like I'm holier than thou because I'm talking about, I went to church and I produced a video and I'm doing this and I'm doing all these things that were completely opposite the person they knew. And some of them were supportive, but you could see almost a little, eye roll in the back of the head. And so I had to decide: am I gonna this is the last of the comfort zone that I have. Am I going to take the leap of faith and act on what I know is better and ignore my impulse to go along, get along, and step up and do something good? Boom, and I did. Now I own my own business. I'm a respected business owner. I'm just, the world is so much different, right? So the more I did this, the more I realized I do have the ability to control my impulses. And when I looked at my history, I realized it was every time I get in trouble, it's not because I went out and planned to do something stupid. It's because I was going with the flow and I acted on negative impulse. Or, half of my arrests driving without a license were because I didn't control my impulse to drive fast, to cut somebody off in traffic that cut me off, to just be stupid. I realized I needed to be able to control my behaviors. So again, subliminal programming, prayer, meditation, acting intentionally, journaling, reminding myself. Guys, I had a million sticky notes everywhere, reminding, because every time I noticed something that was negative and somewhere that I acted on a negative feeling, I wanted to change that. So the next time that feeling would come up, I'd see a post-it note right there reminding myself what was important to me. It seems silly, but guys, these things work. Like, they absolutely work. They changed my life, and I'm so incredibly grateful. I'm so proud of myself for giving myself the shot to do it. As I've done so, I've come to accept that, feelings are not facts. I don't have to act on feelings. I have to feel them. I can't numb them out, and I understand they don't go away. That's why even Tuesday night when I was sharing my experience, strength, and hope at the hospital, it's funny, I can go through the history and the despair of it, because I'm used to that. My body can just take that in stride. It's when I start talking about the hope that I felt after saying a prayer, after starting to see miracles manifesting in my life, that I start to get choked up, and it's happened on the channel. It happens a lot. My body is still getting used to processing positive emotions because I'd been devoid of them for decades, and because of my own actions, and I accept that. So that was another big one for me, guys. Am I going to act on this feeling of fear of speaking and sharing because I might look weak and I might look a grown man, starting to get choked up? Or am I going to say, no, listen, this is part of my recovery message? And I've done so, and I'm proud of it, and I will continue to do so. It still happens. And it's the other beauty of having a group. I've heard other grown men with similar backgrounds say the same thing, and now we have a good joke about it. Oh, Jesus Christ, I can't watch a Lifetime movie now because I'm bawling worse than the wife. Guys, I watch animal rescue videos and I get choked up. I watched a video last night of hero cops saving kids, and literally, guys, I was getting emotional the entire time watching it. I'm okay with that today. I have feelings today. I get to feel everything today. In the beginning, I said as a joke, well, the problem with numbing all your feelings for 35 years is they all come back at once, and wow, is it a lot to deal with. But that was a gift too, because it let me know that my higher power is at work in my life, that this recovery was for real, because I could feel it from the inside. And now that's why I base everything. I've been able to pretty much control all my negative impulses because I've done so much work to do so. But in the beginning, it's just a matter of, guys, understanding you don't have to act on something just because you're feeling it. It takes a bigger man, a recovered man, somebody going down the right road to not act on them. And when you do act on them, and everything else in your life, you start to do good things, you just bring yourself backwards and you look foolish. We're grown adults, guys. We can't run around acting like children, stomping our feet, and we don't get our way anymore. I mean, you can. It's not going to get you anywhere. Nobody's going to respect you for it. Nobody's going to invite you into something extra for it. Do the right thing because it's the right thing to do. Will change your life. It is the simplest way I can break down everything that I've done. Is I just started doing the right thing because it's the right thing to do, and it's made everything different, everything real. In the beginning, I have no problem admitting I had a lot of imposter feeling. I didn't know if this business thing was going to stick because I'd have other attempts at running a business and I never did anything to the right. I had a lot of doubts. I had this YouTube channel. I've talked about this so much. I was so proud of myself just for doing this because, again, when I would pray and meditate in rehab every day, I would wake up, and as soon as I walked away from meditation, it was my first thought. I'm like, this is something I so want to do. I've always loved YouTube. I've always wished I could have a YouTube channel and have something worthwhile. And boom, it was hitting me, recovery. And then again, my disease was that talking. Oh, you got no teeth in your mouth. You really did that. Just all, you never followed through anything. That's a great idea. You're not going to do it. And stop thinking about it because you're only going to, right? But I did it anyway. I didn't have to act on those feelings of insecurity, of fear, of not being good enough, of not being qualified to do so. I realized as long as I just speak openly and honestly, regardless of how it's received, but I'm putting out something that's real, and that's all that's required of me. All I got to do is make my content because it's passion. It's my passion. It's my purpose. And it's something I promised myself I would do. And again, boom, lo and behold, here we are. And we just, yesterday, as a matter of fact, yesterday, the day before yesterday, we made the 450th consecutive video. This is video number 452. So for 452 straight days, I've honored my commitment to myself. And in doing so, I found a way to plug myself in, to build this little community, to do something I'm incredibly proud of, to learn all of these lessons by doing these readings and seeing how they apply, learned how to hold myself accountable. And I did, all this has come out of not acting on my feelings. My feelings were to not do it yet. And as long as you put something off, if you're going to wait till tomorrow to do it, tomorrow never comes. And for once in my life, I gave myself an honest shot and just said, screw it, I'll do it scared. I'll do it insecure. I'll do it, shaking and stuttering. And I watched one of my videos from about 11 months ago today, and I'm like, ooh, that was tough. Again, I'm still not perfect. I still don't know how to edit. There's a lot of things I don't know, but I'm still showing up and I'm doing the best I can. And I see the progression, how much better I've gotten. I've got this beautiful video log that I can go look at my early stuff and realize how much healthier I am, how much my recovery continues to progress every day because I put in the work and I didn't act on those feelings that were telling me not to. Guys, don't act on the negative feelings, but act on the positive ones. Do the right thing because it's the right thing to do, and you will change your life for the better. I promise you. Guys, that's the video for today. Thank you so much for being here with me. Always remember, God loves you. I love you. We will see you in the next one.